Right. Good morning. Or if you're watching the recording, whatever time it is for you. So, I'm going to put a little link in the chat. And if you want to check out some other stuff that I'm doing, some more free yoga, I'm going to start doing a weekend class, and I have a little meditation, group meditation going. So good morning. For this class, it's recommended that you use some sort of strap. I'll use a t-shirt. So whatever you have, a t-shirt, a towel, a strap, a belt, this will be really helpful for what we're going to be doing getting into the hamstrings. So I'll give you a moment to grab that. And then it should be a pretty fun sequence. See what you can do. Getting into the hamstrings a little bit and play with a little bit of balance. So I might scooch a little bit here. And as always, we're going to start in Shavasana. So come to your comfortable seated position, your supine position, laying down on your back. Once you got your strap or belt close by, you're going to want it while you're laying down on your back. So have it somewhere close by where you can grab it while you're on your back. So laying down on your back, coming into yourself, tuning in, seeing what's going on. We're going to take a few breaths, deep breaths in through the nose, and just let it out through the mouth. Open your mouth. So on your own time, we're going to do 3. And now, breathing in and out through the nose, lengthening the inhale and having a deep, full breath in, and letting it out through the nose, slowly. You're not too congested. Or what is it now, week 3 of evacuation warnings? A little bit congested still. Okay. Breathing through the nose. Give yourself a quick little scan. While you're here, just check in with yourself, mentally and physically. Is there anything that's bothering you that you need to maybe modify to support? Or is there anything in your mind lingering that you can let go? Don't worry about those worries, they'll come back afterwards. If you want to incorporate Ujjayi breath, that whisper in the back of your throat, you can take a nice deep inhale into the mouth. Open, inhale through the nose, and then open your mouth, and like you're fogging up glass. Inhale and exhale. And we're going to do this again, but closing the mouth halfway. So inhale through the nose. Fog that glass. Close your mouth. And then again, inhale deeply, keeping the mouth closed, but keeping that whisper in the back of the throat. It's a good way to focus on the breath, build some heat internally. All right, start waking up your body, moving your fingers and your toes, rolling through the wrists and the ankles, maybe reaching your arms overhead. Nice little stretch. Go ahead and Bend your knees and plant the soles of your feet down on the ground. Maybe windshield wiper those knees side to side. Maybe crack through the back. You can hear that. When we bring the knees into your chest and hug them in. Playing around with hugging them in so tight that your tailbone comes off the ground. And then seeing if you can loosen your grip enough that your tailbone touches the ground and your hips reach towards the ground. You can play around with that. Maybe do some circles on the ceiling. And then let your left leg go long, still hugging in that right leg. That right knee in towards your chest. Let that left leg go long out in front of you. We're just going to twist it over, reaching your left hand to the outside of your right knee, crossing it over your body as you reach that right hand out to the right, keeping both shoulders on the ground. Only go as far as your shoulder can stay on the ground. As soon as they start to pop up, stop, and that's where you want to stay. Doesn't matter how far your knee is from the ground. Doesn't matter. Take another breath here. Feeling length through that side body. And then the next inhale, support that knee back up with your left hand. Hug it back into your chest as you start to flex both feet, engaging both feet, and grabbing your strap here. You don't necessarily need a strap, but it really helps you get into those hamstrings. And reaching that right foot into the strap around the ball of the foot or the arch. You can play around with that placement based on what feels good for you, where you get a good stretch. And once you have the strap around the foot, reach that foot up towards the ceiling. Flexing both feet, those left toes are still pointed up to the sky. And just give yourself a gentle stretch here. Don't strain too much. Your leg does not have to be straight. As long as you feel a good stretch. Maybe pull down more on that pinky toe side. Flex it through the foot, through the heel. Stay here for a few moments. Reaching your arms into the shoulder sockets. See if you can reach, make sure your shoulder blades are touching the ground if you can. You can always have your hands around the thigh or the calf. If you don't have a strap, just holding that leg and wherever you can, and flexing that foot at the top. It'll still give you a nice stretch. And see if you can wrap that right hip, this outer right hip, towards your butt. See if you can wrap that down slightly so that you're more level in the hips. You're not dumping into that left hip. Wrap that around. And see if as we stay here, your leg starts to straighten. Start to stretch that hamstring out. Just one more breath here. Nice long, biggest breath yet today. Inhale and long exhale through the nose. While we do these longer stretching holds, it can seem a little boring. You're doing the work. And sometimes it can be too intense. It changes day to day, right? So be patient with yourself. Recognize whatever comes up, mentally or emotionally. Recognize it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge yourself. But stay with it if you can. Go ahead and bring that foot down, bending at the knee. And go ahead and put your strap to the side and hug both knees into your chest. Rack side to side. Maybe do some circles with your knees in the ceiling, and we'll go into the other side. So stretching your right leg long out in front of you, and keeping that left knee hugging into your chest. grabbing the outside of your left knee with your right hand. And as you reach that left arm out to the left, go ahead and cross that knee over your body, twisting here. Finding that place where your shoulders stay on the ground, but your left knee is reaching towards the ground in front of your body. Feeling this twist. You can look over to the left if that's all right with your neck. You can close the eyes and tune into your body. Feeling that stretch along the left side. A few breaths here. Sinking into this twist. See if you can reach your head any taller on the ground. Elongate through that spine. And then exhale, let gravity assist you here. Last breath. On your next inhale, go ahead and bring that knee back up through center. Hug it into your chest, flexing both feet. And then grab your strap. Put it over the ball or the arch of the foot, whatever feels best for you. And then start to reach that heel up to the sky, keeping that right leg engaged, both feet flexed and engaged here, and gently reach that heel to the sky, right? Starting off with our bent knees. Sinking our shoulders down to the ground, reaching your upper arms into shoulder sockets, and then maybe reaching your elbow pits towards your face, if you can. A little bit of that external rotation of your upper arms in those shoulder sockets. Right? So elbow pits towards you, you feel that external rotation. And then if you turn your elbow pits away from your face, you feel that internal rotation. Right? We're going to play around with that a little bit. So elbow pits and inner upper arms towards your face, that external rotation. Elbow pits and inner upper arms towards the opposite end of the room, towards your hips. That's the internal rotation, right? So let's try a little external rotation, throbbing across the collarbones as you reach that heel up to the sky, maybe a little bit more if you're finding that you're starting to open up those hamstrings. Wrapping that outer left hip away from you, reaching it down towards your butt, trying to elongate the side, your left side of the body, not compressing through it. Elongate here. One long, deep breath in. One exhale. And letting go. Each side is different. If this side is different than the right side, that means you're human. And then letting it go, bringing your left knee into your chest. Letting go of that strap. We'll use it a little bit later. Bringing both knees into your chest. Hugging them in. And then reaching them out long in front of you. We're going to play around with coming up into low boat and high boat, engaging the abdominal muscles here. So from this laying down position, arms by your side, you're going to hover your feet, your chest, your legs. Inhale here, just your hips and lower back are on the ground, holding here for a breath. Bringing your belly button down towards your spine. And then we're going to inhale to high boat. So coming up to seated on your butt, elbows in your chest. You can have your feet down if you need, or reaching them up, shins parallel to the ground, reaching your arms forward or holding behind the knees. Holding here for a breath. And then exhale down to low boat, hover over the ground again. Inhale to high boat. Maybe straightening through the legs, holding here. Exhale to low boat. Doing this a few times with your own breath. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Last time. Inhale up and hold. If you want to play around, straighten the legs. Maybe reach the arms up overhead. And then grab behind the knees. Shift forward through seated over into a tabletop position. Stack the shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. We're just going to do 3 cat-cows. Reaching your elbow pits towards the front of the room, broadening through your back, reach your head long. And on your next inhale, start to reach your chest through your arms, your tail to the sky. Inhale deeply here. And as you exhale, dome your back to the sky. Round that breath out, squeeze it out. Inhaling long and full, chest reaches through the arms. Exhale, round your back, squeeze out that air. Last time, inhale, fully chest with your arms. Exhale, dome your back, squeeze it out. Inhale back through center. Maybe shifting your hips back slightly, like you're gonna go into child's pose, but instead of directly into child's pose, you're gonna come into puppy dog pose. So walk your hands forward. You can stop at any point, keeping your arms straight and broad through the collarbones, reaching those elbow pits and the inner arms up to the sky. You can slowly, keeping your hips stacked over your knees, reach your chest to the ground. If it becomes too intense, you can pop back up, finding that length through the shoulders, through the spine here. Don't dump in your lower back, support it with your abdominals slightly. Finding a long spine here through the lower back and finding a little bit of an arch or a back bend in the upper back. Stay here for just a few breaths. If you're feeling really good, you can put your elbows on the ground as well. Press your face into the ground. If it's okay with your neck, you can put your chin on the ground. Maybe your chest reaches the ground. That's not for me. Whatever works for you. One more breath here. Long inhale through the nose. Long exhale through the nose. And come out of it as slowly as you came into it. Pressing into the hands. Walking your hands back slightly. Go ahead and shift back into child's pose. Toes touch, knees apart any amount. Shifting your hips back. Reaching your butt to your heels. Reaching your arms out in front of you. And then we're going to shift our hips back up, tucking the toes under. Shifting up and back into downward facing dog. Take a moment here to get what we need. Pedaling the feet. Maybe wiggling your hips side to side. Maybe spending some time to straighten through one of your legs at a time. Bending deeply in that right knee and trying to press the left heel to the ground. And then take the pedal in the other foot, bending deeply in the left knee, trying to straighten, reach that right heel to the ground. It never has to touch, but just again, nice hamstring stretch, and then come back to stillness. Engaging through the legs, so your legs are taking some of your weight. One more breath here. Looking forward at your hands, slowly walking your feet up to meet your hands, trying to get your heel to touch first. A little extra hamstring stretch. Working them today already. Go ahead and fold forward, bending any amount on your knees. Maybe they're feeling open already. Letting your head be loose. Shaking your head to let your neck be soft. Maybe grab your opposite elbows to help pull your chest down. Touching your belly to your thighs is more important than having straight legs here. Stay here for another breath. And then release your elbows if you have them. Then we're going to slowly stack one vertebrae at a time, round up to standing. Let your head come up last. And then maybe reach your shoulders up to your ears and then down your back. Maybe one more of those. Feels really good. Coming to our Tadasana pose. Feet hips width distance or toes touch. Finding what works for your body. Pressing your feet into the ground to engage through the legs. Releasing through the butt muscles so that you have room to reach your low ribs and hip bones together. While you broaden across the chest, reaching your sternum to the sky, letting your head float above. Reaching your arms down to the ground. Strong mountain pose. Our foundation here. We're going to flow through a modified sun salutation. Reaching your arms out and up overhead as you inhale. Hinge at the hips and swan dive down, bending your knees to come down to a fold as you exhale. Inhale for a half lift. Fingertips to the outer edges of your shins, reaching your head forward. And as you exhale, plant the hands. Step your feet back to a plank. Knees down. Shifting forward to bend your elbows to come all the way down, belly to the ground. Pressing the tops of your feet into the ground. Bringing your fingertips in line with your nipples if they crept forward. And then as you inhale, reaching your shoulders back and your chest up, looking a few inches in front of your mat for your low cobra here. Bhujangasana. Sounds really booty. Maybe float the hands here, sitting in the back bend for a moment. Inhale, broaden through the chest. And then as you exhale, shift your butt back through your hands and knees towards child's pose, but tuck the toes under and shift back to downward facing dog. Staying here for a few breaths. Pressing into your hands, pressing into your feet. Externally rotating those upper arms, reaching those upper inner arms up to the sky. As you let those shoulder blades slide down your back, away from your ears. Looking forward at your hands. Walk up one more time, slowly. Try to get heels to touch first before the toes. Say hello to those hamstrings. And go ahead and fold forward as you exhale. And as you inhale, straight long back. Inhale, up with your arms up above. Keeping your Tadasana body here, long and straight, not opening through the back here, not going into a back bend. So staying steady and in your mountain pose here, and your arms just come up over any amount. They don't need to be by your ears, but that's what you're reaching them towards. And then exhale, hands through center by your side. All right, going through that, or if you need more, I'll take you through a more intense option. Inhaling, arms out and up, overhead. Exhale, fold forward, into your hips, bend your knees to do so. Inhale, half lift, fingertips to the outer shins. And exhale, plant your hands, step back to plank, or you can jump back into chaturanga. Bent elbows, elbows bent directly back towards your hips. And then inhaling into low cobra or upward facing dog. If you're in upward facing dog, just the hands and the feet are touching the ground. And then exhale, shift up and back into downward facing dog. Stay here for a breath. Looking forward at your hands. You can walk up, or you can jump up. Bring your feet in between your hands. Inhale for your half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come to standing arm overhead. Exhale, hands down to your sides. Bring your toes to touch, your heels slightly apart. We're going to shift our hips back as we sit down to an imaginary chair behind us. For your Utkatasana, reaching your arms out and up overhead. That's all right with your back. Sitting deeply through the hips, looking at the toes, making sure you can see them. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift, fingertips to shins. And then exhale, stepping to plank or jumping through elbows bent, chaturanga. Inhaling, low cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. That's your vinyasa. You can choose to flow through any version, or you can always shift just right back into downward facing dog. Bring your right knee into your chest and shift it forward to plant the right foot in between your hands. Go ahead and bring that left foot in slightly so that you can plant the heel of that left foot back behind you with your left toes at a 45-degree angle with your leg. Go ahead and bend through that right leg. You can come up with a long spine, hands to your hips for warrior one position. Our chest is facing forward. Long, straight back leg, bent front leg. Support your lower back by engaging your low ribs and hip bones, reaching towards each other. Maybe sweep your arms up overhead. Maybe bring your hands out in front of your face slightly so that your palms can touch. Here, with your palms touching, see if you can broaden across your back body. Feel that length in between the shoulder blades. Like you're sliding your shoulder blades away from each other. Stay here for another breath. And then exhale, go ahead and plant your hands on either side of that right foot. Step it back to a downward facing dog. Bringing your left knee into your chest, shifting forward to plant your left foot in between your hands. Bringing that right foot in slightly to plant the heel. Toes pointed 45-degree angle. Reaching your chest forward, bending that left knee, coming up, hands on your hips. Finding balance, reaching your chest forward to the front of the room. Maybe on your next inhale, reaching your arms up overhead. Breathing here. Supporting your low back, reaching your low ribs and hip bones towards each other. Maybe bringing your arms forward out in front of you slightly so that you can bring your palms together and broaden through that collarbone, through your back body. Long inhale, long exhale. One more breath here. Plant your hands on either side of your foot and step back into a downward facing dog. Holding here for a breath. Looking forward in between your hands, stepping or jumping up. Feet to hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold forward. On your next inhale, sitting. And exhale, come up through standing your mountain Tadasana pose, arms by your side. Breathing for a moment. Sitting back into your chair pose, arms overhead if you can. Sitting here, big inhale, exhale, folding forward. Inhale for a half lift. And exhale, plant your hands. You can step back into downward facing dog or flow through your version of a vinyasa. Inhale for your back bend. And exhale, kneeling and downward facing dog. Bringing your right knee into your chest, shifting forward to plant that right foot inside your hands. And planting the left foot down to the ground, further away than the last time you did it. We're setting up for warrior two. So you want your back arch to be in line with your front heel. Those left toes angle in slightly. Bending that front right knee, using your left arm to circle your way up through standing upright in warrior two. Bending in that front right knee. That front right knee is reaching away towards your pinky toe on your right foot, wrapping that right thigh and butt underneath of you. Maybe looking over your right fingertips, pressing energetically through that back leg, torso upright. One more breath here. And then straightening that front left leg, bring your hands to your hips. Pressing through the big toe side of this left foot so that you have a micro bend in your knee. You're engaging through the back of the leg so that you're not hyperextending here. Go ahead and shift your hips over to the left. Bring your arms back out to a T in line with your shoulders and shift your torso over that right leg. And let the back of your hand touch anywhere along your right leg. Reaching your left arm to the sky, trying to stack your shoulders on top of one another. Breathing here. Finding length through your spine, reaching your head to the front of the room. One more long inhale here. Exhale. Inhale back up through standing. Hands on your hips. Turning that entire right leg in so that your outer edges of your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Hands on your hips, reaching your chest to the sky, and then hinging at your hips, bending your knees slightly to wide leg fold forward. Bring your hands to the ground underneath your shoulders. You can stay here, or if you want, you can walk your hands back towards your feet, folding deeper. Still trying to find length through your spine as you fold, hinging at the hips. Playing around with weight in the heels and the toes, finding a good stretch for you. One more breath here. And walking your hands forward underneath your shoulders. Bending your knees slightly to bring your hands to your hips. And then inhale all the way back through center, torso upright. We're going to turn that left leg all the way open to the left so that your left heel is in the front in line with your right arch. We're going to sink into our left knee into warrior two position. Arms out to a T in line with your shoulders. Pressing that left knee away from you as you bend it towards your pinky toes. Reaching your torso upright. Holding here for a breath. Engaging through that back leg strong. Breathing here. And on your next inhale, bring your hands to your hips and straighten that left leg. Pop your hips over to the right. Reaching your arms to a T again. Engaging, pressing into the big toe mound of that front left foot to engage through the back leg. And feel that hamstring firing up. As you shift forward into your triangle pose, reach the back of your left hand to your left leg. Reach your right arm up to the sky. Trying to stack shoulders on top of each other. Long spine here. Broad through the chest, through the collarbones. Inhaling, long breath. Exhaling, long breath. Pressing to both feet. And then next inhale, come back through standing, hands on your hips. Turning that left leg all the way in, feet parallel with the short edges of your mat. Reach your chest forward and up as you hinge at the hips. Bring your hands to the ground, staying here, that's a good place for you. Or folding forward, maybe grabbing outer edges of the feet. Inhaling, finding length through the torso, through the spine, and exhaling to fold into it. Shaking your head, relaxing your neck. One more breath. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Inhale your hands to your hips. And then rise all the way up. Turning your right leg out to the right. Go ahead and circle your hands down to the ground. Planting them on either side of that right foot. And flowing through your vinyasa. Or shifting back to downward facing dog. Exhaling for the chaturanga. Inhaling for the upward facing dog. And exhaling, meeting in downward facing dog. Looking forward in between your hands, you can step or jump through to a seat. And then finding your legs long in front of you, sitting up tall here. Planting your hands on either side of your hips. Reaching your chest forward. Go ahead and grab your strap. And wrap it around your feet. Long spine here, hinging at the hips, flexing through the feet. It's pretty intense hamstring stretch right here. You don't want to fold anymore. Inhale, length through the spine. Exhale, moving forward any amount. One more breath. Releasing your strap. Bending your feet, bending your knees. And coming through seated, through a tabletop position. Back to downward facing dog. Looking forward at your hands. Step, walk, or float your feet to your hands. And then we'll inhale all the way up. Just come standing to Tadasana. We're going to play around with a little balance here. Starting by bringing the weight into your left foot. We're going to come into tree pose, if you're familiar with it. Bringing your right sole of your foot to that left ankle here, letting your knee open out to the right any amount. It doesn't have to be fully out to the right because you don't want your hips to be skewed. So focus on having your hips like your headlights, right? They're both facing forward and they're even with each other. So keeping your hands on your hips, feel, maybe keep your foot down by your ankle, maybe up to the calf, or maybe up into your thigh. You can help it there. To reach there, avoiding the knee. Press, once you have that connection, press your foot into your standing leg. Keeping your hands on your hips for another moment to make sure that they're both facing forward and that one isn't kicking up. And then maybe reach your arms out to the side, maybe reaching them up overhead. Your full tree pose. Give me photon sun. I want to photosynthesize. Finding your balance. If you fall out of it, hold it fine, come back in. And bring your hands back to your hips and step your foot back. We're just going to go right into on the other side. If you need to shake out your feet, shake out your legs. Planting that right foot into the ground. Bringing the left sole of the foot to the ankle. Opening your left knee slightly out to the left. Hands on your hips to make sure to stay where you want to stay. Square to the front. And square to the top. Maybe bring that foot up to your calf. Maybe bring it up to your thigh, avoiding the knee. Pressing it into your right leg, finding some balance. If you start to lose your balance, see if you can spread the toes to find more balance, pressing into that big toe. And finding the balance from your torso too. Engaging the abdominals here, pulling up to find balance from your core, not from your foot. Breathing here. Maybe bringing your arms out to the side, overhead. Strong tree here. One breath. And then let it go. Exhale that left foot down to the ground. Shake it out. Then go ahead and grab your strap. Or your bag, or your towel, or your t-shirt. Whatever you got. And you might not need it if you've got really open hamstrings, but I will walk you through with using it because why not? You can always walk your hands up your strap onto your foot if you're feeling it. So, stamping your left foot into the ground, bringing your right knee into your chest. Go ahead and hug it in. So you can always stay here if you are off balance or if you don't want a hamstring stretch. If you're done with that, totally cool. Otherwise, wrap the strap around the ball of your foot, maybe the arch, whatever felt good with your hamstrings when we were lying down on the ground. And then start to broaden through the chest, have a long spine here, and start to straighten that front right leg out in front of you. Hands on the straps here, seeing if you can straighten that leg out in front of you. You can keep your knee bent. You never have to straighten your legs in these hamstring stretches. Reaching your arms into your shoulder sockets. Your elbow pits up to the sky. Holding here. And then exhale, release the strap, bend your knee back into your chest, and then bring it back down to the ground. Wiggle it out. It's more intense than the tree pose balance, right? All right, just jumping right into the other side. So, stamping all of your weight in your right foot, bring your left knee into your chest. Staying here, if that feels good for you, you'll be falling out of it right away. Coming back. Maybe bring that strap around the ball of that left foot, reaching through the heel out in front of you. Inhale, broaden through the chest to find balance through the torso. Engaging through the abdominal muscles to find a balance from your upper body down to your lower body. Having a hard time finding my balance here. One side's always going to be trickier than the other. Reaching those arms into your shoulder sockets so that your right knee can be bent, reaching and straightening it. And then exhale, let it go. Let go of your strap, shake it out. Come back to the front of your mat if you turn to the side. Just going to flow through, reset through one vinyasa. You can always just step back in a down dog or come with me to inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, your version of a vinyasa. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. And exhale to downward facing dog. Meeting downward facing dog for a one long inhale. And exhale. Go ahead and bring your knees to the mat. Keep your knees and your feet hips width distance as you shift your hips back. See if it's okay with your knees to plant your hips down in between your feet. You might have to move your calves out to the side. If you've got big knee calves, it's good being sitting up tall here. Coming into hero's pose. So you can always just stay here, seated, sitting up. If this is too much for your knees, don't pressure your knees. You need those things, right? If it's too much for your knees, bring your feet together and then sit back on your heels, if that's okay. And if you need to come to Sukhasana, totally cool. Whatever you need to do. But if you like a little bit more, with a little bit of a quad stretch, it can be intense. Sitting your hips back in between your feet, start to lean back, walking your hands back away from your feet. You can start to bend the elbows, maybe bring the elbows to the ground, grabbing onto your feet. If you want to stay here, totally cool. If you want to play around with bringing your entire back to the ground, maybe reaching your arms out opposite. Also a fun place to really open up those quads wherever you are, countering all of those folds we just did. Opening the front body. And slowly start to walk yourself back up, back in, shifting yourself forward, crossing the ankles to sit back, legs crossed out in front of you, and then bending the knees so that you can plant the soles of your feet onto the ground. I'm going to come into a reverse tabletop position. So keeping your feet hips width distance, and then you're just going to play around with how far away your feet are. Imagine, if you will, when your hips are up, that you're making a 90-degree angle with your legs. Bringing your hands back behind you, fingers can face towards your hips or fan them out to either side. Whatever feels better for your wrists and for your hands. Draw into the chest. Go ahead and puff your chest up. And then on your next inhale, reach those hips up to the sky. Holding here. If you need more, you can start to straighten the legs out in front for a reverse plank. Wherever you are, breathing, drawing up the chest, reaching your sternum up to the sky, reaching those hips up. One more breath in, and then exhale. Plant your hips back on the ground. Go ahead and shift your hips forward if you need. Take them all the way down to your back. Maybe bring your knees with you. Bring them in, hug them into your chest. Maybe rocking side to side. Maybe planting that left foot. So bring the right ankle across that left thigh, flexing through that front, that right foot to protect your right knee, and pressing that knee away from you. You can hug this in if you need more for a figure four stretch. Interlace your fingers underneath of your thigh, engaging through that right foot, flexing your toes back towards your knee, and pressing, using the muscles of your leg to press that right knee away from your chest. One more breath here as we start to wind down. And release that figure four stretch, planting that left foot onto the ground, and uncrossing that right foot. We're going to go right to the other side, planting that sole of the right foot onto the ground, and then crossing your left ankle over your right thigh. Staying here, pressing that left knee away, or keeping your left foot flexed. Hug your right thigh with your hands to bring in your figure four towards your chest. As you hug your right leg and your left ankle towards your chest, press that left knee away. Breathing here. Go ahead and plant that right foot back on the ground, uncross your left leg. Maybe windshield wiper the knees, left and right. Maybe straighten both legs out in front of you, coming into your Shavasana. Final resting pose here. Maybe opening your mouth to take a nice sigh, exhale out. Letting your breathing come naturally. And focus inward. Notice if you feel any different. Focusing on that mind-body connection. Breathing here at your own pace. Tuning inward. See if you can tune into your heartbeat. You might be able to feel it first in your chest. See if you can feel it so much that you might be able to hear it. Listening to your heart, if you will, listening into that heart space, tuning in to all of your love and gratitude for being able to practice virtually, being able to practice is never perfect. Finding that love for yourself in your heart space. Thank yourself for putting in the work to feel good, to be good, and to do good. Start waking your body back up. moving the fingers and the toes, reaching those arms long for a nice long stretch. Bring your hands into your chest, rolling over onto one of your sides, or rock and rolling up to seated. Meeting with the eyes closed in a comfortable seated position. Hands to your heart. Press your thumbs into your chest. Bow your head forward. Thanking yourself for showing up. And all the love that I can muster, I send to all of you. In other words, namaste. All right. Thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure and an honor to do yoga on Tuesday mornings. So I'm accepting Venmo donations at Weezer, same as the username here. You can take a look at the link using my website. I'm doing meditations on Monday and Friday, as well as I'm going to be adding weekend yoga, some chair yoga, and also some quick 10-minute flash flows. So if you're interested in that, take a look. I put the link to my website in the chat. And 50% of the donations to my Venmo will go on to charities today. This week's will go towards Indigenous rights. Some supporting some people who could use some help right now. And then 10% to the Buck Action Lodge for letting me use this glorious space to do virtual yoga with you. So thank you again for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day and week. Let me know if you have any suggestions for next week. Every week, come up with a new flow. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.